Gary, thanks for joining me today. We've been talking about a lot of different things going on in your environment, but if you were to narrow it down and tell me like one of your main goals or maybe two of your main goals, what are the things that you think about as really critical to what you're trying to accomplish? Big picture goals for IT.
Processing speed. Once a month, the monthly processing slows down.
Okay, so you need what that would translate to is what we call improving your customer experience, right? So if in this case, you're trying to improve your internal customer experience when it comes to the systems that you're utilizing, okay? What else?
The cost of the equipment is ever inflating.
Okay, so and like we've talked about before, you've said that you're competing with other departments for, a finite amount of funds for your company. And so what you want to be able to do is demonstrate that IT is providing business value, right? You don't want IT to be viewed as a cost center, but as something that actually enables the business to operate and do things that it otherwise wouldn't be able to do, right? A third category that a lot of our clients have told us that they're looking for is ways to manage risk, right? This means a lot of different things. Security is obviously one of the biggest things that people think about when they're talking about managing risk. It could also have to do with licensing. It could have to do with compliance. But these tend to be, a lot of the major goals for IT departments tend to fall into one of these three categories. So would you say that that's pretty accurate?
Yes.
Okay. So when we think about how IT has traditionally deployed services and added value to the business, we'll kind of plot this out over time. And over here, we can call this adoption, or we can call it just the overall increase of utilization of technology to enable the business in some way, shape, or form. And so traditional IT has, you would deploy some kind of service and just gradually you would see an increase in the utilization over time. But something's changed, hasn't it, right? You're talking about the speed with which you can actually bring things to market or make things happen. And what's happening is that the business units are actually going out behind your back and the business units or the LOB, the lines of business, that's what I meant to put here, the LOBs. So the lines of business, they're running out and they're getting their own services. They go to Amazon and spin up a server in the cloud and you don't even know about it. They go to work, the HR department goes to Workday and they get a SaaS application from Workday, and they don't even have to consult IT about it because it's not on your infrastructure. So that's what's happening is that these lines of business, they're going out and they're getting things without your help. I'm going to draw that not quite as steep because I need a little more room. So, the lines of business are going out and they're getting resources on their own because they don't feel like IT can deliver it as fast as they can get it themselves. And it's leading to what many call a cloud-first mentality. And so what we want to do is we want to help you, SoftChoice can help enable you to leverage the cloud for delivering these services in a more timely manner, but in a way that you control it. Because as we talked about, managing risk is one of the important factors when the lines of business are out there going and getting their own IT solutions and spinning things up without any kind of organized oversight, then that exposes the business to risk, right? You don't necessarily have control over who can access. I'll just use an example here. So maybe Office 365, for example. If somebody was to go out and spin up that service and they're storing a bunch of their data in Office 365 or Dropbox or some of their cloud technology, but then they leave the company and they still have access to that, that represents risk for you. So what we want to do is kind of bring all these things back under the umbrella of IT, still enabling the business to respond quickly, but mitigating risk, also perhaps gaining some cost efficiency, because that's one of the things that you're mentioning, and putting some accountability back into the equation here. So what are why do these lines of business do this? What is it that's creating the gap? Well, we see a couple of different things. One is what we call a DIY mindset. So when you want to try to do it yourself, the challenge with that is that many organizations don't have, you've got smart guys on your staff, but they may not know Azure, they may not know AWS, they just may not know the way to architect a hybrid cloud environment. It's such a new technology. I mean, heck, we're even competing for the resources that are out there in the community that have these skills to be able to properly architect a hybrid cloud environment. In fact, what we've found is that I think it was, according to Gartner, 40% of cloud projects just fail outright. I'm sorry, no, 30%. 30% of them just fail outright, and 40% of them underperform expectations. So we had this, grand plan for deploying new technology, but you know what? So 70% of those do-it-yourself cloud deployments don't really work. The other thing is that people just don't have a plan, right? They try to impose the old methodology of doing proof of concept, and they kind of get stuck in this proof of concept loop where it can take 3 to 5 years to really work through a plan using traditional methodologies. But cloud technology and hybrid cloud, it's evolving too fast to wait around for this type of mentality. Things are passing you by, obviously, if you don't have a solid plan and understanding of how you can actually get to where you need to be. And then the final thing is managing cost. One of the biggest things associated with this type of, with the lines of business going out and getting their own things is, let's say that somebody does spin up a server in AWS, and at first it's really cheap. Hey, we had this server running and it was only costing us $100 a month. But then, things keep getting added to it, and it's becoming, more and more data is being stored out there, and before you know it, oh gosh, I've got a $1,200 a month bill, and I've actually seen this happen to some customers, and that's a totally different equation, right? Being able to expense that on somebody's credit card is, $100 is not a big deal, but now you're talking about something that's approaching $20,000 a year. That's risk that you're exposed to when all of this is not managed. So it's very important for IT to kind of take control of that and help manage that risk, manage the cost associated with it. We also talked about security a little bit, that you want to be able to keep an eye on where your data is, to be able to have structured governance over the entire environment. And so with these kinds of things in mind, we will help enable IT to, manage risk, obviously, to improve the customer experience, because we'll help you leverage ways to get to Azure or AWS or possibly other public cloud technologies, but these are the most robust and most popular. But we're going to help enable you to add value to the business through properly architecting with experts, and then even providing ongoing management with our Keystone services that we've talked about. We provide that on your Cisco environment right now, but that's something that we can also provide on an ongoing basis for your cloud environment, is to give you visibility into the environment, to help you track those costs, and make sure that there's some accountability back to the different lines of business for their resources, and helping align the cost, because it used to be that everything just kind of got thrown at IT's budget, right? Hey, I need some more storage. Hey, I need some more laptops, and it just all gets lumped into IT's budget. But what if we could architect an environment where there's accountability within each of the departments to say, look, here's what accounting is costing the company for their technology services. Here's what marketing needs for their technology budget. And so there becomes a greater degree of accountability built into this type of a model that maybe you can't achieve in traditional methodologies. So hopefully that gives you some ideas of what we can do to improve your business.